This is 2OF Entertainment.
There's a good buddy of mine, Ovais Naqvi, who I've known for a very long time, and he's harbored a dream for many, many years to create a world-class karting facility in Karachi. And 2 years ago, he made that dream come through like a lot of hardships, a lot of persistence, and he actually made it happen. And I covered that. I was in Karachi, we talked about the track, we went all around it, and I did a follow-up on that as well. So you can find that on the channel. I'll put the links above and below, what have you. Now this year, they've been running a couple of years. It's going from strength to strength. It's been getting really, really good. They've got quite a lot of people now involved in the circuit. They've got some drivers. Obviously, it's a leisure facility. A lot of people just arrive, drive, they have a great time, they have a fun afternoon or a fun evening, whatever. But there are a lot of dedicated people as well. There's actually a huge interest in cars and motorsports in Pakistan. And now there are some people that have going along the path of getting into it on a semi-professional level into motorsports, and including there's some young talent as well, which I think is really up and coming and wants to watch out for. So this year, in fact, just this week, in fact, last week, in fact, he decided to take a team to the Dubai Kartdrome. Dubai Kartdrome obviously runs endurance karting championships throughout the year. So he entered that at an international level, and there's other international teams as well there. And so this is the first time that they've done anything like that as Omni Karting Circuit. Ovais himself has raced there before, but this is the first time they did it as a kind of national team, if you like. And they seem to have done rather well. In fact, let's catch up with him. Let's catch up with him and some of the drivers that were on it. There was a four driver team that went up, but a few other people as well. And so let's catch up with him and see how that experience was and how they got on. I can't wait to get into this with these guys.
A brown card guy. Brown card guy.
Ovais, it's so great to see you again, man. How you doing? You good?
Good to always be back.
You just got back from my old stomping grounds in Dubai, where you've been having a bit of fun. Tell us a little bit about that. But before you do that, tell me who these guys are all around you.
All right, let me introduce the guys. So to my left, we have Shahzad Qureshi. And Shahzad was one of the drivers on the team, and he's been with us at Omni throughout, one of the top drivers regularly for the last 2 years. So he was one of the team members. On my right, we have Furqan Hamid. So Furqan is also one of the regulars, one of our members at the Omni Karting Circuit, an up-and-coming young driver. This time around, he was with us as a team manager role. And behind us, we have young Zidan. He's only 12 years old, so he was not eligible to race. You have to be 13 and above. But as you know, he races with the big boys at OKC. And he also was one of the team managers. And both of these guys, Furqan and Zidan, were helping us out in managing the pits and the pit changes and the driver changes and all of that.
I think, didn't I interview Zidan before? I think I've interviewed him at the track, right?
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, that's right. Gosh, you're growing up quickly, aren't you? So you were super quick even back then, and he's mixing it with the big boys, big time, huh?
Yeah, he is. He's continuously getting better. You know, we keep doing sessions with him, and now we give him weights so that he learns to drive with weights as much as he can and minimize the advantage that he has on the straights. And then we're able to pinpoint, the deficiencies or areas where he can get better or he can improve. And so bringing him up to speed.
So tell me about your experience in Dubai. Like as you mentioned to me, you've raced in Dubai before, obviously, but it's been a while, and the sort of experience you had is limited in terms of the time that you've had to to spread it over. So although you're familiar with it, it was still quite an unusual experience for you and your team, I guess.
So Shahzad, it's interesting you draw up on that because this is the 18th year since I first came to your old stomping grounds in Dubai, which was in 2006, and we brought a team from Pakistan to race in the same track, same championship just 18 years ago. Now, since that time till now, this was just my sixth race, and I've only done five previously. So, to put that into context, they have four races every year, which means someone who lives in Dubai or someone who lives in a part of the world where accessibility, logistics, finances, economics are easier. I mean, it just would take a year and a half of racing to be able to get the same level of experience that I have now managed to get over 18 years. And compound this with the fact that we have really not had a go-karting track or facility of any kind in Pakistan since the last 17 of those years. So until we had Omni Karting Circuit come up about 2 years ago. So that also is the challenge of where do you learn, who's going to teach you, how do you work out the deficiencies that we have, if I am sort of the senior person on the track here and I can help people like Zidane and people like Furkan, but where does someone like me get the help who does not have the experience, that someone else in other parts of the world would have. So what it comes down to was that these races that we go to, we try to observe and learn and absorb as much as we can from the people and the top level competitors that are there, and they're coming from all over the world. So we had Russian teams and German and British and the Gulf teams, Indian teams, and all of them have a much more robust culture of racing and facilities in their countries. So our learning curve had to be steep, and it was.
So let's come back to that in a minute. Let's hear from who we got. We got Furkan and sorry, who was that again?
Furkan on the right, Shahzad on the left.
Shahzeb and Furkan. So tell me, so first of all, Shahzeb, tell me about what's your experience? I mean, how much experience have you had before? What's it taken to get to this point for you?
Right. So again, taking off from where Ovais pretty much he painted a pretty thorough picture of how motorsport generally is in Pakistan, because there's not a lot going on throughout the year prior to Omni. So we did have a track before on the superhighway. It was a no parking track. I maybe went there like twice in total. And from then on, I would only probably get to go kart abroad somewhere. Like I tried some in the US, I tried some in the UK, and I had tried on in Dubai also. So that kept the passion somewhat going. And whatever was available locally in terms of motorsports, such as rallying and autocross, I am actually an active participant in both of those. Also, autocross not so much, but rallying more so. And then when Omni came about, that was like a blessing in disguise because we were waiting for that since forever. And
I know Ovais has been waiting for that since forever as well. So.
Oh yeah. So we were sort of part of that little, I guess you could say, the waiting circle, where we were just waiting to utilize the facility and gain some track time and gain some speed time, and at the same time just enjoy ourselves on the track, which we didn't really have the facility to do before that. So,
Shahzeb, in terms of your experience with motorsport in Pakistan and what you've seen and how difficult it is, I mean, how much do we need to applaud Ovais for persisting with what he did and what he achieved, right?
I think the more we applaud, we should add like 200% on top of that, because what he's achieved is, and you're sort of witness to that. I remember in your last Omni coverage, you basically mentioned how you spoke to Ovais while he was sort of under development. Yeah. And then you were like, let's see what happens. And then when you finally went to the track and you saw it live in action, you were pretty taken aback yourself.
That's amazing. So, to see a dream come true is always incredible. So for Khan, tell us about your experience. What sort of previous experience have you had?
From previous experiences, I've only done racing at OKC, like the 6-hour endurance. I have taken on 2 times, and one of them I won also. I got 3rd position. And thanks to Ovais, we're getting motorsport experience here in Pakistan. And as far as I remember, before OKC, I did karting when I was 10 years old back in USA. So ever since then, I wanted to do karting, but I didn't have any place to go and do it. And now it's very near us, and we can practice there and work on our skills. And as far as Dubai is concerned, it was a very different game. And thanks to Ovais Bhai, he got me through everything very well, and we had a good time.
So, Ovais, the thing is that you've got these guys. So you've got Furkan and you've got Shahzad, and of course we've got Zidane, who I think is clearly a future superstar. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm looking forward to hearing his name on the international circuit very, very soon. But one thing that you mentioned that I thought was really interesting, because people would say that now, well, now you've got a world-class karting facility in Karachi. That means you've got the facility for people to test themselves, to practice, to develop their talent, to get used to what they're doing. But one thing that you said to me in the conversation that we've been having in the last couple of days, I found very interesting, was that it's very different to Dubai. The realities of Dubai and the track and the circuit and the demands on it are actually very different to what you guys have practiced on. So tell me about those challenges that you would have faced, especially for for Furkan and for Shahzeb, because for them there would have been less experience than you've had, for example.
Shahzad, one of the things is, look, I've been doing this for 18 years, and I was at the top of my game very quickly when the first karting center opened back in the day over here in the superhighway. And since then till now, since OKC is open, I'm still maintaining that top of the position, and I'm trying to bring up as many of the younger drivers to that level as I can, and continuously they push me to improve as well. So it's a collective push. But what we're seeing is that there's not enough of the passion or the collective or more influx of more drivers coming through. It's not because of lack of desire, but it's just there's it's taking a little bit longer, obviously, for them to acquire the skill sets and the racecraft. So what I'm trying to say is that while we have a lot of people coming and doing karting, the pool of competitive karters or individuals doing competitive racing is very small. About 20 people, 25 people who are really at a high level. And even out of those 20, 25, I would say five, six, seven of us are at a significantly higher level. Now, what we're trying to do is be very inclusive, and those people who are genuinely interested and keen on becoming better, we try to do as many sessions with them as possible, make them lead and follow us, because we are the benchmark for them. So the first step is to grow the pool, grow the talent pool, get more competition in, and bring everybody up to a certain level so that it's more fun for all of us to compete. It's more of a challenge. So that's, and what that comes down to, why it's different, is when we go abroad, we have all these different teams that are all highly competitive, and the drivers have a lot more skill set in racecraft. So the 4 or 5 of us that go and participate, our aim is to also to compete, but also to be continuously learning. Like, I'll give you an example. I did the last session in the race, about a 70-minute stint, and I set my personal fastest lap time in the last 5 or 6 laps of that session, which was at the end of the near the end of the 12-hour race. So because again, I was following a quicker driver and one of the top ones, and I was able to right away observe a few things that he was doing that I was not doing. So now that is instilled in my mind that next time, this is how to do certain things. Another difference is that the OKC tarmac and surface is different from obviously the Dubai Kartdrome surface, and that happens with tracks around the world. Different temperatures, different environmental conditions, different ratios of bitumen and concrete and aggregate. So the grip level at OKC is a lot less, whereas the grip level at the Dubai Kartdrome is a lot more. So the way you have to drive and alter your driving style to adapt to those grip levels, you need to obviously be aware and switched on to do that. And again, I think are privileged that we have the access now. Like, we have learned that, okay, this is a high grip track. How do you drive there? And this is a lower grip track. How do you drive there? So those are two elements. And a third element is on the circuit layout. So OKC is a lot more technical in terms of the fact that we have high speed straights that are followed by hard braking corners. Whereas at Dubai Kartdrome, you don't have so many high-speed straights, so you're carrying less speed through certain corners, but you can be on the power, and your braking has to be a lot less, but you have to be more on and off the power and playing with the throttle as opposed to using the brakes to decrease the momentum. So those are some changes.
So, in terms of it being I know that you said you have raced before, or you have driven around the kartdrome before for Shahzad and for Furqan. How did you find that experience from going from Omni over to Dubai? First of all, you, Shahzad.
Right. So, like again, we said, we found the track to be extremely different for sure, but it's not to say that it wasn't easily adjustable to. So, half of the driving is basically adjusting to the card itself and the racetrack and of course learning the layout. So, Omni we brought instilled in our minds. So that's a no-brainer for us almost. Driving, we can probably drive there with our eyes closed. But back in Dubai, we booked like sessions in advance so that we could practice on the track and learn it first of all, and then hack it. So the hacking part was basically understanding where the grip levels are the most. So we learned some tricky things, for example, that we can apply, and obviously we learned that we'll bring it back home also. But we learned that if you do not follow the grid lines, you lose mega in some corners. And we were doing that for like the first Ironman section. The second Ironman, we had narrowed it down, and we were all within one tenth of max, 2 tenths of each other. So we were at pace within 1 hour. That's probably the best and the fastest development between racers and adjustability that I have seen amongst us. Because even learning Omni took a lot longer. So now, because of Omni, we have that skill set. We can hack it faster, and we can then employ it to different tracks. So that's what that was a major takeaway from taking that skill set over there. So once we did that, then the second Ironman was up to pace, and then we sat down and discussed strategies because that's also part of the race itself. And in fact, I would say about 30-40% of the race is the strategy you employ. The driving is definitely has to be top notch, but then the race strategy is where you win or lose or compete with the top 10, I would say. So that's also something we learned. We're going to bring it back, share it with our community, and hopefully bring them all back up to pace also.
And Furqan, did you find the same thing?
I didn't drive there. I was the pit manager, so
Right.
yeah, looking up to them. I'll one day, inshallah, I'll be driving with them soon. So
But you didn't have a go around in the practice sessions at all?
I did a arrive and drive session there. It was
Yeah.
very different out itself, but those cars are different from the race cars they have.
Yeah,
So
of
it
course,
was,
yeah. And did Zidane get a chance to go around it as well? Have you had a chance?
Yeah, I was there a month ago. I did karting then also and after the race.
And how do you find the circuit?
Well, on the race, they have a different layout, and in a line drive, they have a different layout. It is a technical circuit. There's not that big of hard braking zones. It's mostly fast sweeping corners in that track.
And how does it feel to race on a circuit that, Fernando Alonso, for example, is regularly racing on that circuit? In fact, it's almost his second home there.
Yeah, so that's again one of the motivations, and also it gives us a little bit of inspiration and something to look up to. That okay, that we have a comparable. If not, we'd like to think well, definitely bigger circuit than the Dubai Kartdrome, but also a place close by where we have some top racers coming, whether that's Fernando Alonso, that one racer, and then the drivers and teams that compete with him. So it just becomes a domino effect that, hey, there's Alonso coming, okay, then these are the local other drivers and teams, we can race with them. So, it's sort of that guilty by association that the closer you get to the top, you know that you are coming to a level where you can compete anywhere against any person.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because with Fernando Alonso, I mean, obviously he set a time around there. So all of a sudden you got time comparisons with a professional F1 driver, right?
You've got that, and you've also, I mean, some of the guys who've been fortunate enough and to have been in a 24-hour race with him. I believe that's what he's brought his team down for. I mean, that's just fantastic. That if you're on track in a session with a double F1 champion, someone of the level of a lot. So I mean, you don't want to do anything but try to keep up, follow, and learn. It's all about, like I said, learning. You learn as much as you can, and those opportunities are extremely rare to come by. It's the confidence that you get from that, because that was one of the things, the most important things I think that you could say is the mental side of it, and having the lack of confidence because you don't have the experience, so you're not sure how well you'll do and how well you'll compete. But I can tell you this: after this race, I think amongst all four of us, I mean, there's no lack of confidence, and we know that what we can do and what we can achieve if we're given the right amount of seat time to race with better drivers than us. We can quickly come up to that level, and that's something I'm looking forward to.
So let's break it down a little bit, because obviously we have a lot of people, especially audiences in Pakistan and places like that, where you're trying to encourage and you're trying to inspire and you're trying to get them into the sport on a semi-professional or professional level. Let's break it down and explain exactly what does happen at these events. So, for example, you mentioned Ironman. So, what is Ironman? What is it? What's the process when you get there? What actually happens?
So before I go into that, can I request another one of our drivers has joined us?
Sure.
So can I have him join in and have Furkan kind of step to the side? Yeah. Let me just introduce you.
Hello.
Hello.
We have one photo here.
Hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Have we met before?
Possibly at the track.
I'm just wondering if we have anyway. Yeah, so you are?
My name is Omar Koro, and I've been racing with Ovais since 2021, I believe, when he started the track. And that's when I've since known him, and I've been racing with him since then.
And how was your experience going over to Dubai? Before we get
This
into
was my second time in Dubai.
Space is going to explain how it all works, but I've already spoken to Shahzad about it. So just tell us quickly a quick snapshot on what was your feeling, and try and move yourself a little bit more into the shot as well. Cuddle up, guys, cuddle up.
Just a little, yeah. So this was my second time in Dubai, and the experience was amazing because this time we had four F4 drivers on track, the UAE Formula 4. So we had two of those drivers racing with us. One was a rookie champion, and the other was a podium holder for the F4 championship in the UAE. So racing with those guys, that guy was not on pole, but in the first opening lap, he had a 10-second lead on everybody else. So racing with that competition also helps you improve as a driver. So I'm also racing here in the autocross.
Yeah.
So this karting thing helps me a lot, like pick my level up to a certain level that you can understand your racing physics and everything. That in Dubai it gets refined.
Yeah.
So you keep refining your skills and coming back, helping others to refine their skills. The trickle effect, it helps everybody.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's the progression that we hope for. Absolutely. So let's get back to your race and let's break it down and explain to people exactly what happens at one of these things.
Okay, so the race itself was on Saturday, and it's a 12-hour race. And what we did as a team was, and what the track does, is they offer on Wednesday and Thursday, the Wednesday and Thursday immediately preceding the Saturday of the race, they offer Ironman sessions for practice. Now, what Ironman sessions are 1 hour non-stop karting sessions. And individual drivers sign up for the Ironman sessions that are scheduled on those 2 days. You can do those separately or at the same time along with your team members. Ideally, it's best to do them with your entire team, all your team members together, because you can go out together and you can lead and follow each other and learn from each other, and then you can try to lead and follow with some of the faster and higher placed drivers. So we had all booked a one Ironman session on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we had booked another Ironman session, all of us together. And then Shahzad and I had decided to take one more Ironman session on Thursday. So Umar and our fourth driver, Sanan, did two Ironman sessions, Wednesday, Thursday, one each. Shahzad and I did three altogether, one on Wednesday, two on Thursday. The Thursday ones we did were back to back. So that was great. That was very intense, because it gave us a lot of endurance practice as well, to be able to do 2 hours of karting, pretty much with just a 5 or 10 minute break. That was pretty intense. And also, it was a huge confidence building measure because, as again, seat time, the more you do, the better you just keep getting at it, learning the layout and also improving your own skill set. And right now, we're in that phase where we're still developing our racecraft and our skill set with respect to, as I mentioned, the braking and throttle inputs. But I think within this year, hopefully, with more seat time and more races and different layouts, I think we'll be at a place where we'll be able to even quicker adapt to new circuits because we'll be able to, use the previous experience from different racing to apply those, and so that's what we are looking at. So after the Ironman's, Friday was a rest day. That was just a personal day. Everybody relaxed. We did some shopping, went out, hung out, had some food, the good stuff. And then Saturday morning was the race. Now, the way the race day works is that 8 a.m. we had to, in fact, 7 a.m. it was reporting time for all teams and drivers to do the weigh-in and the card draw and all of those things. And then after that was the captain's briefing. After the captain's briefing, the practice session, which was also a qualifying 60-minute practice slash qualifying session started. And we all, every team makes its own strategy of which drivers they want to send out in the practice and qualifying, how long they want to send them out for. We used all of our drivers, and Shahzad set the fastest time for us in qualifying. And the way that they structured the format was it was the top 15 times would enter a 5 minute Super Bowl. So we qualified 18th out of the 27 teams, and we missed Super Bowl by just 2/10 of a second. So yeah, had we gotten into, had we been had Shahzad or any of us been those 2/10 quicker, we would have been in the top 15. We would have had another 5 minutes to set another time, and we could have perhaps qualified on the grid for the race start in, I think, 12th position. That could have been, and then from there maybe a few more positions during the race. But anyway, so that's where we qualified. The race was a Le Mans start. So our fourth driver Sanan started the race, and as you know, Le Mans, you have to run to the cart across the circuit, jump in, and then get seated, and then head out. So when the race started, in fact, he was 4 carts abreast, and he was he was the fourth cart, and they're all four wide along the track, and he's like literally on the edge. And then we gained some positions, and then over the course of the race, which was 12 hours, we had a whole strategy: which driver would go when, how long he would drive for, who would be the next driver. We were adapting according to the situation, but we had a general set pattern that we were trying to follow, with adaptations thrown in as and when they were required.
So Omar, you mentioned you did autocrossing and auto testing and stuff like that. That's short sprint racing, and obviously you've driven around Omni, but that's short. But when you talk about something like this, a 12-hour enduro race, and as Ovais said, you do sessions of 70 minutes or something you're doing. I mean, what's the mentality? How do you approach that? Because that's a lot of concentration for quite a long period of time, right?
Yeah, it's a repetitive process. So once you're on a track for let's say 60 minutes, you're doing at least 45 to 50 laps. So 45 to 50 laps for you to concentrate and keep focus. So you have to have a particular goal in mind. So my goal was, if I find any quick driver on track ahead of me or coming behind me, so I have to keep them with me for a maximum period of time, so that my times improve as I follow them, or if I'm ahead of them, so I can try keeping them a little back behind me. So you can't get bored in racing. Even if it's 60 minutes, 70 minutes, or 2 hours, you will always find some entertainment on track. Whether it's a slow driver in front of you, how you will overtake him, where you will find the spot, how you have to do it cleanly. You can't even just bump him and overtake, otherwise you'll get a penalty for it. So you have to have certain racing ethics going on in the race. And if somebody is faster than you behind you and he's tapping you at the back, you let him go through a corner and then you try keeping up with him. So in my stints, what I did was, I'm just telling you the strategy, that I tried to keep up with the faster guys by letting them go in the easier corners that I had to let them go in. So that I can keep them up with them on the straights, learn their lines, their braking points, their acceleration points. So as a driver, I was improving myself during the race as well. Not just in the Ironman sessions, but during the race, you get to learn a lot of different things. So, and
It's
the
also
difference between the
important
Ironman and
to,
the race is also that they place these yellow tires on the track, which have a 5 second penalty to it. So if you touch them, you get a 5 second penalty, which is a stop and go penalty basically. So in the Ironman and the racing, you have to learn the difference between the tires and everything. But thankfully, we didn't do any penalties in the race, except for one pit time infringement penalty, and that's pretty average. So we made up for it.
and Shahzad, what about the physical aspect of it? Because it's quite, people think it's just a little toy go kart, but I mean, I haven't done anything like you guys, but I've been out for a few laps and I've come back going, oh my God, my arms are hurting and my shoulders are hurting. It's quite physically demanding, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's quite a lot of work. In fact, you're actually tuned in to the weight loss of the whole process also, because that's part of your strategy, so to speak. So everyone is balanced at 85 kg, and you're supposed to lose about a kg per stint. So if I do a stint, and I weigh about 77, 78 kg with a gear, right? So I have to put about 7.5 kg to go to get up to 85 kg, which is what we have to maintain before and after our stints. So let's say if I'm at 85 and I lose a kg and I weigh myself after the stint and I'm at 84, that's a penalty. So I can compensate by adding more weight than I'm destined to lose at the end of the stint. So we have to keep that in mind also. And obviously your arms really need to be up there, because if you're struggling at some point, like at 40 minutes or 45-minute mark, usually it's for me it's about between 50 to 55 minutes. Something starts giving way a little bit, and then you hang on for dear life, and then it goes away. So there's like when it comes to running also, there's that sweet spot where either you give up or you continue and you can run for a lot longer. That's how it is with karting also. So we've learned to accommodate our body and our stamina with the demands of endurance. And I did a full 60-minute stint, no problems at all. And the reason for that was mainly that we had all this experience and practice at Omni. We've done 6-hour endurances here also. And then when we went to the Ironman in Dubai, we did that also. And we also learned that the strain that the Dubai Kartdrome actually puts on you is a little worse than Omni, because there's a lot of high speed 3 or 4 turns in one go. So you really have to match your lines and make sure that you stick to them, and that requires effort. So when you put in more effort, obviously you tend to tire yourself more. But because of the Ironman, you got tuned into that ahead of time, and thankfully that paid off. We were also a bit cautious because, like Omar said, they surprised us with the cone movement. So in Ironman, they didn't have the cones set so far ahead. So what they did was they actually reduced the curb space that we were using to cut every corner. So when they moved the cones ahead, so we had to get a little bit more cautious and put more effort in our driving actually. So it put more strain on us during the race. But yeah, we got tuned into that also at the qualifying stage of it. I mean, I got tuned into it like literally the last couple of laps, and that's when I set the qualifying time, which was our fastest time on the day. But if I had, and that's also something that we learned from the experience, strategy-wise, because we were expecting our qualifying time to be the fastest towards the end of the qualifying. But I was the first one to go out, and first 15 minutes that I did, I already locked in the fastest time, and the track kind of slowed down after that, which is surprising. But that's something we learned, something to take away from the experience, and come back with it the next time.
And this is it. It's all a learning experience. So, Riz, in the final few minutes, tell us overall, how did you do, and what are the plans now going forward?
Right. So, very pleasantly, and we met all of our targets. So, Nasser, I'm sure you know Nasser and me, F1 Weekly Podcast. So on that, I had said that our targets were top 15 overall, which we achieved. We finished 15th overall out of 27 teams. We were aiming, we were aiming for top 10 in the Nations Cup. So the Nations Cup is all the teams that are participating, all of the from within those that are made up or comprised of the same nationality drivers. So our aim was to finish top 10 in the Nations Cup, and we finished sixth in the Nations Cup. So target met again. And then there's a corporate cup where all the teams that have drivers that are employees of the same company. So that again was met, and our target there was top five, and we achieved top. We came second in that, and we were on the podium in the corporate category. So that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Yeah,
Bag the trophy.
the bag, and has become now the first trophy for Pakistani racing team from Pakistan from an international event. So that's somewhat of a significant kind of milestone that look we've managed to do this. Overall, one of the most important things that I noticed was how smoothly we as a team, as drivers, as teammates, how we gelled together and just everybody had their responsibility and their roles and the independence to make the calls in those respective roles. I mean, for example, I'll tell you, Shahzad here called me in during one of my stints for an early pit stop. And I had given specific instructions to him that I'm trying to assess a certain way of driving of my own. But before I could finish that, Shahzad called me in. And when I came in, I said, why did you call me? And I wasn't done doing it. He goes, no. The cart you had was slow. We need to get you out of that cart. We need to give you a faster cart. So they have a cart rotation system. And every time you come into the pit, you will take a different cart. And they change transponders. So Shahzad made that call along with the rest of the boys, Umar and Salam, who were not on the track. I was on the track. And it was a team decision. So obviously I was like, okay, it's a team decision. And it was the correct decision. When they sent me out in the next cart, I was a second quicker than what I was doing. So and then I was able to do my testing process during that stint either way. So it worked out for the best. So this was a very important aspect for us to work together as a team and have trust and confidence in each other. Because I think, it's when you're not sure about your other team members and you perhaps don't have that trust or confidence, that's when at times it becomes difficult or a bigger challenge to perform. But I think, even though I was the captain, there were times where before my stint, half an hour before my stint, I would actually just go and away from the pit and I would sit in the driver change area, leaving everything to these guys, knowing fully well that, look, they're fully capable of looking after everything and making the right calls.
So you're back there again in April?
So yes, in April 20th, we are aiming to take the team back again. And we're hoping to continue for this entire season because I think we can do something exceptional if we do the whole season. And the next round, we're really eagerly, excitedly looking forward to it because I believe we will go in a better prepared position as better drivers and able to do a better performance. So that's what our goal is.
It's amazing. What you guys done is absolutely incredible, and I wish you all the very best of luck with it. Fantastic trip, and more to the future success. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
No, thank you for always supporting us and having us here. Maybe April or October or December, we gotta figure out getting you back with us. Attached to the team, and some mix of exciting content that we've always talked about. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna make something like that happen.
Let's do that. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you for having us.